Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Salon Life TV. It is me, your girl, Miss B, the teacher. Check me out on Instagram and Miss B, the teacher, or Twitter, Miss B, the teacher. I wanted to come in really quickly with a short video before I got my day going this morning on the fallout from the R. Kelly saga and surviving R. Kelly, and to be able to put some words of inspiration out there on behalf of the women who courageously told their story. So, as the video title says, Complicity in Salons and Spas. You, me, anyone else that we know that are friends, family members, or whatever, followers online, people that we admire in the industry, someone else we know has been complicit in enabling sex trafficking and human trafficking. What that means is, the more I've looked at these videos with these women, and going back through some of the footage on the documentary. So if you haven't checked out the Surviving R. Kelly documentary on Lifetime, please do that. Go online. There's a great urban entertainment link, Broken Silence with a Z.net and MrWorldwideTV.com. They both are airing all 6 parts of it. And when you hear people say 6 parts, but it only aired for 3 nights, the online links are airing episodes 1 hour at a time. So the 3 nights that it was on and aired for 2 4-hour episodes, the online sites are breaking them down to 6 1-hour episodes. So it's the same documentary, in case people are confused that it's something different when they hear 3 episodes versus 6. With that being said, sex and human trafficking, in some of my earlier videos, if you live in a state such as Ohio, places like that, are requiring salon and spa professionals upon license renewal to take sex and human trafficking courses. So it's not just stopping at sex trafficking, it's human trafficking. So what R. Kelly and people in his camp really don't understand, and probably don't have the capacity to understand. So again, even looking at some of his older videos and interviews when he's tried to speak on the subject of being abused himself or molested himself as a young person, and then various other people now talking about his inability to read and write well. I think I've heard Nick Cannon address it, his wife Andrea Kelly address it. You know, I'm in the teaching industry for a reason, guys. First of all, we need to remove all the jokes. We need to not approving what he's done and what he's become and what he's engaging in with regards to just immoral and illicit things with these women. But we've got to remove all the jokes away from that. We're adults. We're going to speak as adults, talk as adults, engage as adults. I really do think that R. Kelly is probably more autistic, and speaks artistically and eloquently through his music. So he probably is mildly to moderately autistic, and there is a spectrum from which, you know, you can have yourself audited and identify exactly kind of where you are on the spectrum. With that being said, there's no doubt that he's a musical genius, and he's able to convey his words and his thoughts through his music. However, understanding what the cycle of abuse is, he is going to be a largely studied and scientifically researched individual throughout his lifetime. So he may become more well known for this in scientific studies than he has for his music. The reality is, I myself, and I've known a few other people who've been courageous enough to share their story with me, but I myself am a victim of sexual abuse by an older brother, child molestation, and physical abuse by both parents, and emotional abuse by both parents. Just really growing up in an environment where I felt I had to fight my way out because my spirit was so beaten down and abused throughout the years. And again, this industry, I love it. Thank God it has allowed me to pull myself up by my bootstraps more than once. and physically get the fuck away from people that themselves are still dealing with their own worlds of abuse. And so this is what they give to you. When you don't work on your own healing, when you do not work on your own awareness of what you survived, it becomes a part of your spiritual, emotional, psychological DNA. And so you put the abuse out effortlessly because you really don't, you're not aware of it, and you don't understand the value and the magnitude of who the people were that abused you and how much this is weighing on your own spirit. So this is where the era of human capacity comes in. You don't have the ability to be compassionate and a caregiving person. So you just go through life abusing and hurting other people. So I can see that firsthand myself and surviving that within my own family. I'm understanding R. Kelly's plight. Not excusing his behavior with the women, but it's more than a sickness. This man has never confronted his own demons. And in order to battle, trust me, you have those battles within yourself of what you did so wrong that these other people hit you, hurt you, abused you. You're battling with that all of the time. And because he's never developed another way to address it or even remotely deal with it, he became a bigger monster to battle his old demons. And again, the cycle of abuse goes on. R. Kelly, by and large, has morphed from molesting underage and young children, and anyone in this documentary, I don't care who the hell they are, as many over 50 adults I'm seeing in this documentary are saying from the past 25 to 30 years that they were seeing this man hanging around high schools, hanging around kids, when he was starting to get big and moving to the industry at 18 and 19 and 20 years old. There were not a laws in effect, I guarantee, back then, which by and large is why he was able to get off with the child pornography charges. Those laws are not as strong as they are today. But you still had people that said, one of his brothers even was saying that he saw R. Kelly put his wife on a dog leash and walk her out of the room and parade her around in front of other people. And one of the bloggers that was interviewing him is asking him, well, what do you do? And his response is, I just got up and left. I just let him know that that was just nothing I was into. Not so much as nothing you were into, but if this woman was being put into a position of forced sexual exploitation, again, now we got to talk about where we are with intelligence. Nothing about your IQ, nothing academically, but intelligence as far as what you know and the knowledge that you have, and you're readily able to engage in that knowledge, think freely, and think critically. So we're talking about socially low intelligent people that R. Kelly has had around him, and emotionally low intelligent people he's had around him for years. You've been in the salon and spa industry. We've had examples over the years what to look for in signs and symptoms of abuse. We've had nonprofit organizations that have come into our salons to teach us on what abuse victims may look like, sound like, and where to go and where to call. So I put that in one of my earlier videos on sex trafficking in the salon. And again, I've been trying to dig up a little bit more information to do a part 2 to that, so we can consider this video a part 2. But when you've been sexually abused, mentally abused, emotionally abused, if you don't do the work and surround yourself in another environment that is completely different from what you've grown in, you grew what that was. You can't plant seeds for an apple, grow a big apple tree, grow beautiful apples, go grab that apple, cut it open, and put it in a juicer and expect to extract orange juice. It doesn't work that way. Okay? However, human beings have the ability, you have that saying out there that a tiger can't change its spots, but human beings have the ability to change and grow and do the things that they need to do to better themselves. So we have the ability to come to terms with abuse and the things that we've been through that are not so great, things that are very ugly. We have the ability to change that within ourselves. For me, I know it's about changing me. I can't be concerned. I spent too much of my early years, again, still in that cycle of thinking that these people abuse me, so there's something wrong with me. There ain't a fucking thing wrong with me. There's everything wrong with them with regards to the abuse, and it's only wrong because of the people that abuse them. And you are making a choice to not change how you live, how you think, how you interact and engage with people. So with us being in the salons and spas, the reason that it's titled Complicity, because I'm looking at these videos with these women over multiple videos and snippets and things that are coming up online now where people are seeing these women at concerts, and the videos of Jocelyn and Dominique, two of the women that were out shopping. These women have hair on fleek, makeup is done, nails are done. So they've been in somebody's salon or spa, or salon or spa professional has come to one of their residences and given them services. Not asking questions, not seeing something that looks weird, and you're being silent about it and not reporting it. So by and large, we got to move away from I run a business and I'm here to make money, but money doesn't make me. So we've let money and this whole ruse of being a star and being more important completely distract us from our own humanity. So sex trafficking and human trafficking, by and large, run parallel on the same street, but then you have drug trafficking. All trafficking means is movement, literally. So you're moving something for the purpose of exploitative reasons or monetary gaining reasons. And R. Kelly is probably going to be hit with things under the human trafficking umbrella, probably, if not specific sex trafficking, because I think it's just, unless something else new surfaces with him doing videos of younger underage women, the child pornography things are just kind of pretty much gone. You know, that's a dead issue, but it can be used evidentiary-wise to show a pattern and a pathology. So this man is growing in his abuse. So in his cognitive ability inside of his own head, the intelligence is there. So he's just very cunning, and he's learning different ways to abuse. That's all that means. Withstanding him engaging these young women however many years ago, and then psychologically planting those seeds of where he's got to keep these people around him to further the abuse, or keep a team of people around him that are enabling the abuse. Again, we've seen these women somewhere. Somebody in a salon and spa industry has given service and doing service. So if it's able to happen to those women, think of other women, other areas, other cities that are going through the same thing. And I've likened these women's stories to the women that were kidnapped and held in the home in Cleveland a few years ago before they were rescued for 10 years. These women were physically and literally chained to bedposts in basements, blocked out windows, things of that nature. So the women are moving around a little bit more freely in the R. Kelly situation, but who's to say that they have not been forcefully chained up against their will? When you're talking about engaging in certain sexual acts, there's a whole realm of world out there for people that do BDSM activity, bondage, domination, submission, sadomasochism, but it's done with permission. You're primarily, think of the movie 50 Shades of Grey. The scene that's there in the original movie where he has to sign a contract, that's what you do in those situations. It's done with permission, and it's done with consenting adults. And by and large, you do it in environments that are there for that reason, where both parties are kept safe. What R. Kelly is doing is moving in his own mind, in his own spirit, in his own heart, where he sees these women as reflections of his sister. And God knows where she received her abuse from, if she was molesting them for that amount of years, being the older sister. When I'm hearing things like he wants these women to call him daddy, and then I'm hearing the stories about how the sister molested R. Kelly and another brother. She walks around in a robe, and she probably was playing the mother role since she was there with the babysitting and things of that nature and in charge of those boys. So if that young girl saw her mother in a robe with her man or her boyfriend and experienced sex or saw a glimpse of sexual activity, now she's doing that to the younger brothers. Again, we're not having appropriate conversations with our young people about healthy sexual attitudes. So when they start engaging in things at those ages, to a certain degree, we've got to give some leeway to the fact that they're just children and they're only acting out what they thought they saw. So when there's no other nurturing there, then you are at a fork in the road where this is healthy or that's not healthy. Your brain doesn't have the ability to make the appropriate decision. So as you get older, the behavior gets older, or it grows and it manifests and it becomes bigger. And now this is where you're targeting and hurting other unsuspecting women. So R. Kelly's moving from child molestation and surviving that in himself. The only way to bear the pain of what he feels is to reach out and abuse others. So it's an emotional way to distract yourself from your own hurt. So he's moved from child molestation and younger age women to now he's targeting older women, but psychologically he wants to keep them tethered to him and close to him. He still feels the need to punish his sister. So the women calling him daddy. I'm hearing one wife was hogtied, another women engaging in feces, eating his feces. In the BDSM world and community, that's scat play. There's water sports where you're on the video with the young woman and he's urinated on her. That's water sports. That's a golden shower. So I personally, without giving up too much of myself, of what I research and what I look into, I know that those worlds out there exist with consenting adults. That's the thing. He's bringing these women into his world without their consent. And if they do give consent, it's after they've been coerced or forced or intimidated into that. Okay? So he's progressed in his behavior. My thing is, in a few other blogs that I've read and left comments on, where's the progression now going to go when he doesn't have anywhere to go? His finances are being hurt. He's having to move out of some of his property, so he has no physical way to keep these women tethered. Is he going to hurt himself, commit suicide? Will he hurt the women, try to threats have been put out by his camp to some of the parents of these women. So ultimately what we really have to look at. The way the human trafficking is probably going to go, now that he's got the Fed's attention, they're looking into one of his Chicago studio properties that he converted it to a living residence. If that was done illegally from however long ago, and now they're moving in and they're looking at that this is, again, proof and evidence that he's been using properties and homes and things that he's renting for purposes under a different authority from which he rented them or purchased them. His biggest mistake is he's renting all of this stuff. He doesn't really own anything. So he's been renting it. So it's not his to use and convert and misuse for a different purpose. Again, now, 20 years later, you've got housing authority people that are looking into it. And again, by them not looking into it before, not raising that flag before, information not coming across their desk before, and this is where the power of that documentary is really showing and rearing its head. So great job to the producers of that documentary. Now that we've got people that want to come in and ask questions. Because even in the Cleveland situation with those women years ago, I mean, you literally had no plumbers, no electricians, no people that have been anywhere near or around that house to suspect or hear movement or anything, that you've got 3 live living women and one of them with a child that's giving birth in the residence with a child chained in a home. So these predators are highly manipulative, have the ability to coerce and get people to do their will. But once you start putting money and putting people on a status above your capacity to listen to your own self, think for yourself, free think and critically think, then this is where we've got to start looking at ourselves and where we've gone or where we've lost ourselves and our capacity to be compassionate human beings. So I really wanted to put this website, this blog out because, again, we got to start thinking. Pick up the phone, guys. Make the call. The human trafficking hotline, sex trafficking hotlines will take information from you anonymously. And it's not just about the R. Kelly situation, but using this as a catalyst for other things that we may see or hear. And by and large, shame and silence is what's keeping these enablers in positions of what they think is power. And once you take it away from them, it's done. But they ultimately themselves need help. Yeah, I'm just not going to really throw them under the bus, like cut their penises off, cut their heads off, throw away with them. They ultimately need help because they've learned this behavior from somewhere. Not excusing it, and it's not right. They need to be held accountable. But if they got to go to jail, if they got to do the Bill Cosby thing, they've got to do all of that. These women don't need to have their stories wait another 30 years before they're being told, nor any other woman, child, man, anyone else who's being abused. We got to start to speak up. And we've got to start to be strong enough within our character to know that if I speak up against something that's not right, I'm not worried about being in a salon and losing $100 or something like that, because I know God, Buddha, Jehovah, Allah, whoever you bend down and pray to, is going to bless me in the long run, because maybe potentially when I make the call, I stood up, I saw something, I said something, sent an email, make a phone call. You potentially saved a life. So you've got to get back to the compassion of who we are as human beings. I'm seeing videos online, porn videos, things that have come across YouTube, where women are in salons and they're either there as strippers, they're engaged in sex acts. I don't know if these women have given permission to have themselves filmed, but if you're a barbershop or salon owner, and that is one business license, and now you're conducting sexual activity, which is another type of an industry, sex industry, and now these women are being filmed. So you put the film out and sold the footage to somewhere, someone's making money on it. That's exploitation. Sexual exploitation is not always about overt prostitution. R. Kelly himself, moving these women around, he's forcing them and coercing them into doing certain types of things labor-wise for him. One of the women said that she traveled with him during some of his tours, and she would be the girl on stage in his shadow boxes, or he would simulate oral sex on her. So if he did that from city to city and state to state, and that woman was not paid, that was forced and coerced labor. That is why you got feds now that are looking into his practices, where he's held these women, where he's moved these women. That in and of itself is trafficking. So you got to, again, I doubt very seriously he's got people in his camp that are thinking along that line. And the feds and the state, and you got housing authority people, you got people that are kicking him out of different properties because he's late on rent. They playing a mean game of chess with R. Kelly and his whole camp right now. So at the end of the day, they're putting pressure on, like a lawyer was arrested, and they're going back and looking at different finances. You know, they're probably going to put pressure on the people around him to get them to flip and to give up more information, so they finally have some type of a case to build around him. And make no mistake about it, it's going to include something that the feds are sitting on and have been sitting on, something. But when the feds make their case, trust me, feds arrest you after they've made their case. They have a 95+% conviction rate, okay? It's not just about drug cases and this, that, the other. It's anything that violates federal statutes, if you never really read them or looked into them. And again, that's where that lawyer hat's on mine, dropping in, leaving a pre-law program to become a hairdresser 28 years ago. I just really don't have the ability, if I wanted to turn off that little investigator's hat. But he's going to be hit, and the fallout is going to be monumental. And for the women that were courageous enough to tell their stories, these women need to be compensated for life. Okay, we are on the strength of what they've gone through. We've got to start to pay more attention to people that come across our everyday lives and sit in our chairs, get their nails done, get their hair done, and it's not just men who are predators, by and large, maybe, but people that are engaging in predatory behavior. You know, stop just letting anything come and go through your life, through your peripheral vision, right up in front of your face. Stop with the fear. Stop living as a coward. Stop living in silence. Stand up and be the powerful king and queen that you are, and speak out when you see something. And again, this is not going to ever be a black and white issue, but it is an issue of integrity. And we've got to make sure that we do everything we possibly can to be the best people that we possibly can. And that's just being a compassionate human being. Like, where did that become an issue? To just not look out for your fellow man. Alright? So I'm hoping this video helps somebody out. You guys, please like it, comment, share, spread the news. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. Didn't want it to be too long today, but I got to get out of here, get moving, get some things shaking. And again, if we're being complicit in our salons and spas, guys, we've got to stand up. When you see something, say something, and possibly, you know, save a life. All right? Thanks so much, Miss B, the teacher, Instagram and Twitter, Salon Life TV here on YouTube. Also, check me out in the Salon Life Facebook group, Salon Life TV. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. I'm out.